All right, Mr. Ahmed here to start up our Chapter 8 and 9 unit, which involves quadratic equations, okay? For our quadratic equation, just a couple things. We're going to take a look at this cover page, and we're going to talk a little bit about what we have going on. And a quadratic equation is going to be a U-shaped graph that consists of a lot of parts, okay? The couple things that we're kind of looking at here are the axis of symmetry, which divides the graph in half. So if I were to fold the graph over this line, this side would land right on top of this one. We also see that there's some x-intercepts. The x-intercepts are the spot where it crosses the x-axis. The y-intercept is the spot where it crosses the y-axis. The vertex is either going to be the highest point of the graph or the lowest point of the graph. If the graph is opening up, it will be a minimum. And if it opens downward, that will be a maximum value of the graph. So we'll discuss that as we kind of keep on going, but this is just what the graph looks like. What we're going to do here is we're going to start and just do one section in Chapter 8, which is 8.3, and that's going to involve us graphing. Then we'll move on to using the graphing method in order to solve our quadratic equations. So that's going to be our process as we're moving forward. So today, 8.3, our goal, graphing a quadratic function. So our essential question is, how do I graph a quadratic? All right, so quadratic function comes in the form y equals or f of x equals. I'm going to write f of x because that seems to confuse us quite a bit. So f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Just keep in mind that's like finding the y value, all right? So again, just based off what we were doing on the front, the graph is going to be a U-shaped graph. It's nice and gentle. It does not make a V. It is not going to be an absolute value function. So it's U-shaped. The axis of symmetry is going to be a vertical line. Keep in mind, vertical lines come in the form x equals. We will calculate that vertical line here in the future by using negative b over 2a. We'll talk about that more in detail as we keep going in the video. But I'm going to draw in my axis of symmetry on this graph, and that is the vertical line that divides it in half. It's symmetrical. So this vertical line here, if I were to fold my paper, this side would land right on top of this side. That is the axis of symmetry. The vertex is the highest point or the lowest point. In this case, it's going to be the lowest point because our graph is going up. So this point right here, that is the vertex, just like we saw on the front. That's also, in this case, a minimum value because the minimum value of the function y is right here. So that's a minimum. We don't have a maximum because it keeps going up forever and ever and ever, and we would never be able to find it, okay? The y-intercept is the spot where it crosses the y-axis, and these are x-intercepts. So this point and this point, these are x-intercepts. I'm going to abbreviate intercepts, INT, okay? And this one, I can't really see where the y-intercept is, so I'm not going to plot that out. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by just looking at some graphs that are already done. And we're going to state the axis of symmetry. That's going to be in the form x equals, because it's a vertical line. Then we're going to find the vertex and the y-intercept of the graph. And we'll include if there's a maximum or a minimum value. So here we go. First one, the axis of symmetry. So I'm looking here, all right, where it's going to cut it in half is right on this vertical line. Okay, it also goes through the vertex. That is the equation x equals 1 because it's over 1 to the right, so that's a vertical line, x equals 1. The vertex is the highest or the lowest point, and that vertex is right on it, so this point right here is the vertex. It is the point 1, 4. Going to label that vertex. So the vertex is at 1, 4. Y-intercept, where does it cross the y-axis? Well, right there at 3. I'm just going to call it a 3, or you could also say y equals 3. I don't really care on that. And the maximum or the minimum value. All right, so in this case, since the graph is opening down, it goes down forever, so there's no minimum. There is a maximum value right here, so it is a max. It's up at the top, and the maximum value was 4. Okay, that y maximum value is 4. And now we'll try the next one. And when I take a look here, I notice the first thing, this graph's going by 2's. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8. So when I'm drawing this in, it has to go through the vertex. So there again is my axis of symmetry. And that is at the point x equals 1. The vertex, that lowest point, is right here. It already has a dot on it. And that's the point 1, negative 9. Notice it's going by 2's. 8, 10, that's negative 9. So 1 comma negative 9, vertex. And the y-intercept, it appears as if it crosses the y-axis right at 8, negative 8, sorry. And the minimum value or the maximum value. Since it's opening up, it goes up forever, so there's no maximum. We have a minimum, and the minimum value was right at the vertex, negative 9. All right, moving on to our next one, and I would like you to give these two a try. So go ahead and push pause and then see what you get. All right, hopefully you had some success here. Axis of symmetry comes down right there. Again, it's at x equals 1. They're all not going to be at x equals 1. The vertex, highest or lowest point, that's right here through the axis of symmetry, 1, 1. The y-intercept, it appears as if it crosses the y-axis at 0. We'll label that on this one. And it goes down forever, so there's no minimum. So it has a maximum value, and the maximum value is 1, or y equals 1. On the next one, dividing it in half. Here is that axis of symmetry. X equals negative 4, because it's left 4. The vertex goes right through it. All right, let's see here. It's going left 4, down 8 to 10, so that's right here at the point, negative 4, negative 9. Got to be a little bit careful when you look at these graphs. This one was going by 2's, this one was going by 1, so keep an eye out for that. The y-intercept, where's it cross the y-axis? Well, right here in between, so I'm going to call that about 7. And it goes up forever, so there's no maximum. It does indeed have a minimum, and the minimum value was y equals negative 9, or just you could state negative 9. So, our next goal is to start graphing. Keep in mind, on the equation, it could either be f of x or y equals. So I'll write it both ways because it really means the same thing. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That is the standard form. So we have an x squared. It could also be written as f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So what we're going to do in order to graph is, first step, we have to find that axis of symmetry because that's where the vertex is going to be. So we're going to use the equation negative b over 2a. The b value comes from the coefficient of the x term, and the a value comes from the coefficient of the x squared term. So we'll have to identify what a is, what b is, and what c is. We'll then find the vertex. In order to find the vertex, I plug the x value of the axis of symmetry back into the equation or the function. That'll give me the vertex, all right? Then from there, I will make an xy chart with the vertex as the middle point. Then I'll have some above it and some below it, x values, and we'll find y. Then we'll plot our points to draw the graph. So quite a few steps here. So we're going to step through this process here. The first step is to find the axis of symmetry. So to find the axis of symmetry, standard form, notice it says f of x, just like a y. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, f of x. So we got to label a, b, and c. All right, so a, the coefficient of a, just 1. B is negative 2. And c is 4. C is the constant. Now to find the axis of symmetry, x equals negative b over 2a. I got to plug those values in. So I have a negative b, so I have a negative negative 2. Negative times negative 2 will change to a positive, okay? Over 2 divide a, which is 2 times 1. So this simplifies to a positive 2 over 2, which is 1. So we found the axis of symmetry, x equals 1. In order to find the vertex, I need to plug this value back into the equation. Now, I'm going to do this one by hand, but from then on out, I'm going to actually use my calculator in order to type it in. So when I do this by hand, I would put it in for x. I'd have 1 squared in parentheses minus 2 parentheses 1 plus 4. When you simplify this down, you have to follow the order of operation. So I have to do 1 squared first, which is 1 minus 2 plus 4. Now, add and subtract from left to right. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1 plus 4, and that is going to be 3. So the coordinates of the vertex, the x value is 1. The y value is 3. So I have the point 1, 3. So I'm going to plot that first. Over 1, up 3. 1, 2, 3. I will also just quickly pencil in my axis of symmetry. Since the axis of symmetry is at 1, I should have a graph that goes evenly based off this axis of symmetry. So I'm going to put the vertex right in the middle. The vertex was at 1, 3. I then need to pick some points that are smaller than 1 and some that are bigger than 1. So I'll do 2 and 3 that are bigger and 0 and negative 1 that are smaller. So when I plug these in, on this one, I'm just going to slowly type these into my calculator so you can see it. So when I plug those values into the equation, I need to use the parentheses just like they were there. So the first value I'm putting in is negative 1. So I have negative 1 squared minus 2 parentheses negative 1. And then plus 4. Oops, missed my 4. And we get 7. So at negative 1, it's at 7. So I might as well plot that. Negative 1 up 1, 2, 3, 4. 7. Went off the graph just a tiny bit. Now we'll put in 0. This one's actually the easiest one to put in. 0, 0. It should be 4. We'll see what we get. All right, so parentheses 0 squared minus 2 parentheses 0 plus 4. We get 4. So my next point is 0, 4. Now, we're going to plug this in for this one, but we will notice that this should be symmetrical. So this point is 1 away from the axis of symmetry. It should end up right here. This one's 2 away. It should end up right here. We'll see how it turns out. So plugging in 2 now. When I put in 2, I get what we can see there. 2 parentheses squared. I'm struggling. Big time. Parentheses 2, close the parentheses. Square it. Minus 2 parentheses 2 plus 4. And I got 4. So my next point is over 2, up 4. 1, 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like we said. It's 1 to the left of the axis of symmetry. It's 1 to the right of the axis of symmetry. And my last point is 3. So when I put in the 3, I'm going to do better this time, I swear. Parentheses 3, parentheses squared, minus 2, parentheses 3, plus 4. I should get 7. I did. So over 3 up 7. 3 up 7 off the graph by 1. And when you draw this, make sure it's a nice, gentle curve. It is not a V. If your graph does not look like this U, you made an error. Okay, something went wrong. So, next step, we're going to identify the minimum or the maximum. So since this graph is opening up, it has a minimum value. The y value of that minimum, 1, 2, 3. We got it. All right, so we're on to the next one. We're going to do this one together, and then there's a couple of U tries. I'll fly through the U tries. This one I'll go pretty slow. So again, first step, find the axis of symmetry. We have to label A, B, and C. So A is equal to 3. B is equal to 6. C is equal to -1. X equals negative B. So negative 6 over 2 times A. All right, so I got negative 6 over 6, which is -1. So the axis of symmetry is X equals -1. Now, to find the vertex, I have to plug that back into the graph, or the equation, sorry. So, when I plug it in, 3 parentheses, put the parentheses where the X is, I'm putting in -1 squared plus 6 parentheses -1 minus 1. And we got -4. So I'm going to plot that point right away. Left 1, down 1, 2, 3, 4. My axis of symmetry should be here. All right. So vertex in the middle was at -1, -4. Now I need some numbers smaller. So -2, -3, some numbers bigger would be 0 and 1. All right, plugging them in. So I'm going to go a little bit quicker this time. 3 parentheses, -3. Close it, squared. And then I had plus 6 parentheses, -3, minus 1. I got 8. Now we'll put in -2. 3 parentheses, -2, squared, plus 6 parentheses, -2, minus 1. I got -1. Now we'll put in 0. When I put in 0, this is the easiest one. 0, 0, I should get -1. And when I put in 1, I should get 8. But we'll see how that looks as we graph. I'm going to start plotting my points. So, left 3, up 8. 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a little bit off the graph, just kind of estimate that. Left 2, down 1. At 0, we were at -1. 1 away. 1, 2 away, so this one should be 2 away too. Right here. 8. Nice gentle curve on this one. Make sure it looks like a U. It should not look like a V. This one's a little bit sharper, but it's still there. And there is our graph. So, is there a minimum or a maximum? Goes up forever, so there's no max. There is indeed a min. And the minimum value is right at the vertex, down 1, 2, 3, 4, so -4. All right, there's 2 U tries here. Actually, just 1. So go ahead and hit pause and give this one a try. Then come back and check your work. All right, hopefully you had some success. So first step, label A, B, and C. A is equal to 2. B is 4, C is -3. Axis of symmetry, X equals -B, so negative parentheses 4 over 2 times A, 2 times 2. That is -4 over 4, which is -1. So the axis of symmetry is that X equals -1. To find the vertex, we got to plug that in. So again, I'm using calculator work for that. So 2 parentheses, -1 squared plus 4 parentheses, -1 minus 3, got -5. So we will plot that point first. Left 1, down 5. There's my axis of symmetry. Vertex in the middle. -1, -5. Some numbers smaller, -2, -3, 0, and 1. And we will plug those values in. So first one, 2 parentheses, -3 squared plus 4 parentheses, -3 minus 3. We got 3. Now we put in -2. Same process, 2 parentheses, -2 squared. Notice I'm putting everything in parentheses. 4 parentheses, -2 minus 3, -3. Put in 0. I can do 0 in my head. 0 times anything, 0. 0. The only thing left is a negative 3. And now we'll plug in 1. I should get 3. 2 parentheses. 1 squared plus 4 parentheses 1 minus 3, and I get indeed 3. So plot the points. Left 3, up 3. Left 2, down 3, and it should follow. I'm 1 away from the axis of symmetry here, so I got to go 1 to the right. I'm 2 to the left of it, go 2 to the right of it. And there is my graph, drawing a nice gentle curve. And we got it. So, minimum or maximum? It goes up forever, so it's a min. And the y value of the minimum was right at the vertex, negative 5. All right, that's it for today. Kind of a long one. Have a good one.